Good
I would
afternoon.
request once again to mute your mic so that we can all hear each other. Thank you so much. So, it is with great excitement that we at Al Noor Rehabilitation and Welfare Association for People of Determination, we are hosting this platform for self-advocacy, the voice of determination, and we extend a warm welcome to everyone. As Stephen mentioned, I am Tanuka Gupta, clinical psychologist. I'm working with Al Noor for almost 2 decades, and I'm the moderator for the webinar. And before we go on to the presentation, I would like to request Ms. Shamim, who is the co-moderator of this program, to go through the housekeeping rules so that we all know how to navigate this platform most effectively. Shamim?
Good morning, everyone. I'm just here to share the house rules of the webinar so that just we'll go through it. We request everyone to please treat this as a formal event and participate in the appropriate manner. We request all of you to mute your audio and video. We request you to post your questions in the chat box. And at the end of the webinar, we will be sharing a feedback link that will be posted on the chat box. And we also will send an email to all the attendees. The e-certificates will be sent to all the participants through the registered email. As we have overwhelming responses for this self-advocacy webinar, we have already 300 plus participants. So the e-certificate will take 5 working days to reach you all. So because we can issue only a limited number of e-certificate for every day. So kindly bear with us. Over to you.
Yes. So coming back to the presentation, why the topic of self-advocacy from Al Noor? So in my association with Al Noor, I have witnessed that the center has always been very proactive in recognizing the emotional, sexual, and personal needs of individuals with disabilities. And out of that recognition came the self-awareness program, which we practice, which we have been practicing for more than a decade at the center, which is aimed at preparing youngsters for responsibilities, choices of adulthood, to help them to live, work, and socialize in personally meaningful ways within the community. And through the self-awareness program, we have aimed to begin early to inculcate a positive attitude, to overcome some of the common misconceptions associated with the topic of sexuality, topic of disability, and we try to make the students more self-assured, communicative, sociable, and safe from abuse. So a recent addition to the program has been self-advocacy. And the objective of this is to build a sense of empowerment amongst the students and their families by an understanding of oneself and one's rights as a person with disability. So in this journey of learning and training in self-advocacy, Al Noor Center, we have been privileged to have known, interacted, and trained under various eminent professionals. And today, we are so glad to have 2 of them as our guest speakers. So I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Sureka Ramachandran. Dr. Sureka, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. So, good afternoon. Welcome, Dr. Sureka. So, Dr. Ramachandran is President of Down Syndrome Federation of India and Down Syndrome Association of India, who also likes to be known as caring mother of a Down syndrome child and a devoted professional creating awareness about Down syndrome across India and worldwide. She is also Vice President of Asia Pacific Down Syndrome Federation. And Dr. Ramachandran has personally cared for and counseled over 7,000 people with Down syndrome across India and growing. She is instrumental in setting up support centers, outreach programs at various locations in India like Delhi, Mumbai, Chandigarh, Kolkata, Trichy, Bangalore. And under her guidance, most of the states in India have parent support groups that assist new parents. She is also a very well-known author of various books and presented numerous papers on Down syndromes at various conferences and lectures. So I would like to welcome Dr. Ramachandran to start her presentation.
Thank you so much, Danika. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everyone who are on this program. I sit here in the middle of the cyclone, and it is just not disturbing me because I'm mentally prepared. From yesterday, I've been preparing myself for the cyclone. This, my friends, is exactly how it applies to a person with determination. To always be prepared for any situation. Self-advocacy, I quote, change what is into what should be. Most discussed and the most needed subject of the day. Self-advocacy paves the way for decision, choices, and dreams of people with determination. Let me take you back in time to the 1950s. Jay, a 12-year-old boy, was a person with cerebral palsy. I would spend time with him, would read to him, till one day I walked in to hear his parents talking in raised voices. Jay had a tear which I observed. The parents were planning to send him to an institution, and he seemed aware of all that. I spoke up for him even at that age. I was all of 9, and I pleaded with them. We, a large group of children, promised to help take care of him. My magic at that time worked. Very early in my life, I had learned that all a self-advocate needs is a strong advocate. Throughout my entire presentation, my friends, I would like to emphasize the importance of the person who advocates for the person with determination. Look around you. Are our children or adults empowered enough to speak their minds? With a feeling of sadness, I have to say that in many families, even today, the voice of the person with a disability or without a disability is often unheard. We are told to follow instructions and life decisions are made by others. This is where we stand in most countries, and we have to bring the change before we actually suffocate the individual with determination. Do I have the slide sharing? Brinda?
Yes, we can see the slides.
You can see the slides?
Yes.
I'm not able to see the slides, sorry. Okay, I mean, it's okay if I don't see the slides, but I cannot. Okay, even before the world stood up for self-advocacy, we were aware of the person with determination having the need to express and his demands or her demands and their needs to be heard. By doing that, they would be happier individuals, and this would help in reaching their desired goals. But this was not taken seriously, as that entire section of persons with any disability in society during my time was considered a burden and a very big responsibility. They were all put away in institution, which was the norm of the day. That was what was suggested to my daughter 40 years ago. History states that self-advocacy was first introduced in the 1960s, and thereafter it took momentum and spread to the other countries. How insensitive we are if we do not realize that every being has feelings, emotions, body needs, desires, ambitions. We chose to overlook this. Our exposure to the international conferences brought to light the individual needs, and when I heard them in 2009 speaking at the conferences, we realized the need of self-expression and choices. how can we ever call ourselves an evolved and empowered society when we cannot comprehend the demands of certain sections of society that need immediate and top priority care? For a self-advocate to achieve the complete freedom of thought and expression, we need to create the biggest and the strongest team of advocates. Let us all work together towards that. Why do we have to actually change those perceptions? The self-advocates are starting to speak up and have dreams, something that was never heard of as we were making their decisions for them, where the individual was expected to accept what was decided for them rather than allow them to express themselves. Advocacy is only a process of enabling. It is an enabling process, considering that we are dealing with the most vulnerable groups in society. It is pertinent that their views are heard, their rights are defended, and give consideration to their choices. Their rights need to be safeguarded and their views genuinely considered. That is what advocacy aims at doing. Here again would be the advocate who is standing by his side, guiding and supporting his desire, his decision, his dreams. Who is the advocate? Someone who helps the person with determination achieve their purpose, someone who speaks for them, supports their decisions, expresses their views, advises them, gives them information, defends them, and explore their options and be their voice. A self-advocate is an individual who has the ability to express what they are thinking and feel, who stands up for things they believe in, who knows and understands their rights and responsibilities, who takes a responsibility for their own life, who makes decisions that affect their lives, improve their lives by changing the way things are done. It also means that he understands his needs, his goals, and that he can convey this to the others. Being a self-advocate is very, very important for the individual, any individual. And what does it actually mean? It means and it refers to an individual's ability to effectively communicate, convey, negotiate, or assert his or her interests, desires, needs, and rights. Self-advocacy means understanding your strength and your needs, identifying your goals, knowing your legal rights and responsibilities, and communicating these to the others. Self-advocacy need not be limited to verbal expressions alone. I will take this up very seriously much later in my presentation, but this is a very important point. Why is self-advocacy important? It helps the person to make decisions, life decisions that are best for him, and to be empowered. Self-advocacy, my friends, doesn't begin much later. It begins at birth. When a child cries, the entire family understands the need of the infant. It could be the hunger, it could be sleep, it could be colic, or it could be the fact that the child is wet. This little one demands to be heard. That is the same demand or cry that we need to pay heed to throughout their lives. Support their choices. When and how is it useful? Is advocacy actually useful? Like the baby, the individual wants to be listened to when he is having any complaints or when he might need a review of a care plan or any major decision. Yes, now I come to the most crucial point. I have a voice, but even without a voice, I can communicate in other ways. It is important to emphasize that having a voice of your own does not necessarily mean having a literal voice. This is very, very, very important. People who are non-verbal are able to communicate themselves, their likes and their dislikes, their wants and needs in many other ways other than words. For example, taking a person by their hand to show them where they want to go, pointing to pictures, symbols, or photographs. This is important because Self-advocacy is sometimes criticized for only being relevant to people who have mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. That is so untrue. It is necessary to acknowledge that all people, even those with severe intellectual disabilities, can communicate and express themselves. It is so true, and I have seen this and visualized it. Self-advocacy is important because people can speak out publicly. If people have a voice of their own, and I really believe in this, they can comment on the services they are using. They can define how they want to be known as people with intellectual disabilities or persons with determination, rather than being called handicapped. Can campaign for issues which are important to them. For example, the closure of an institution or how the money is spent in the day's services. They can advise on creation of new policies. One of the most important consequences of having a voice of your own is that it has the power to challenge how people with intellectual disabilities are thought about in society. They have traditionally been seen as a group who were incapable of thinking, of action, of being able to live their lives as others do. This led to discrimination, segregation, and isolation. If this perception is challenged, then people with intellectual disabilities will be nearer to being included and treated as equals in our society. Is that not our final goal? And I believe that that is where we have to all reach. Yes, I can take a risk. I can have a relationship. Self-advocacy is partly about knowing your rights as a human being. The right to owning their own home, falling in love, getting married, having children, and working in ordinary workplaces. All of this was denied to us when our children were growing up. If you have a voice of your own, you can assert the right to take a risk, to choose again, and to learn from your mistakes. As an individual, I have the right to make myself heard, and I really believe in this. This can be done at home, at work, in school, in the hospital, at the doctor's, in the shop, or even on a bus. I have a right to express myself. I repeat, even a non-verbal person can be a self-advocate. How do I convey my needs? Is my personal choice. This can be done with the help of an advocate who understands me through picture cards and of late through emojis. I have a number of people with determination who send me emojis of being happy, sad, or wanting a pizza. Will all this be possible? Is it really possible to create a self-advocate? Of course it is possible. Of course it is achievable. It is possible if I receive the appropriate training. If my parents, my siblings, my peers, and the entire society supports me. So it all depends on the support groups around me. The support group will extend later to the friends, to the neighbors, and most importantly, to the caregivers. I'll give you a very small case study that I did. Rohit loved chocolate chip ice cream. So his father took him to the ice cream shop and he said, "Go ahead, son, choose and get your ice cream." He asked for an ice cream and the shopkeeper gave him a different flavor. He went back to his father and looked extremely upset. Rohit had three options: to remain upset, eat the flavor that he disliked, or go back and demand a change of the ice cream. Yes, Rohit was clear. He did not want and did not like that flavor. He went back. He showed what he wanted. The shopkeeper actually apologized and he gave him the ice cream of his choice. Rohit felt extremely good about all this. He had discovered that he had self-advocacy skills. It is so beautiful. He felt so empowered that day. The importance of self-advocacy is today dawning on all of us. For many people with intellectual disability, the lack of self-advocacy skills limits their development as confident, if effective individuals. Somewhere between being a self-advocate and not being a self-advocate, there is the process of becoming a self-advocate. That's probably where most of us are. We are constantly refining our skills. practicing strategies, trying to acquire increased control over our lives, and trying to achieve the things we want from life. People with intellectual disability are also engaged in this lifelong journey from not being to being in control of their decisions. We have given them the title, like we say, the persons with determination. A very dignified title, my friends. My question to this entire audience is, how many of you here are really determined, and can you stay that way? One does not need to have an intellectual disability to have a poor self-image or to be open to abuse or discrimination. I find a lot of people who are so-called neurotypical have a lot of issues. It is a fact, however, that people with intellectual disability are more likely than others. The result of a mixed consequences of social stigma, prejudice, community attitudes, and the handicapping effects of disability to go through life not as a self-advocate, but as a victim, as a pawn, or as an object of other people's discretion and will. That's the way it has always been seen. We advocate loud and clear for every individual with determination, and we will continue to advocate. But I fear that sometimes we cannot disconnect from our children, and from there stems the insecurities that we face. We feel we know best and take decisions without even their consent. My advice to the new generation parents is back off and give them the support in their decisions. We need to make a change. Many parents feel they cannot train their children to advocate. Nothing is impossible. Help them make small decisions to reach the bigger ones. Guide them. Explain to them the consequences of their decisions. Never jump to conclusions that they are wrong. Reason with them and offer them choices, reasonable choices. Teaching these skills is time consuming and needs a lot of patience. In a day, you will find a million opportunities to help them. The choice of food, timing of when to get out of bed, choosing their clothes, when to go for a haircut, etc., etc., etc. No one can be better than the parent. Every member of the family can contribute to the enhancement of this program. Make sure your contribution is positive. Increase the circle of advocates as the person grows up. Peers, extended family, friends must be well informed so that they can empower the individual. Learn to pick on the cues. Even as a baby, we get cues to their likes and dislikes. Why is it that as they grow up, we don't look for those clues? Provide simple choices. Take care in appointing the teachers. This is very crucial. Please do not overlook this because the teachers are a very big influence on children. Sometimes the person with determination might not wish to be with a particular teacher. Check why this happens. And do not ignore the voice of the person with determination. They are making a point and we tend to ignore it. Observe and learn. You must be the advocate who carries their needs and concerns forward. Be careful of how you handle the individual. First point to make clear to the caregiver is to be patient. A caregiver must wait, watch, and learn. Do not reduce the contribution of this particular self-advocate to any program by ridiculing or interrupting the self-advocate. Do not check them when they are trying to convey a message. It can be very frustrating for the individual when he is trying to tell you something and you are not listening and you are interrupting. Patience is the key word. We have found that training of the trainers is the best way ahead. Trainers are slowly getting involved and are paying individual attention to the self-advocate based on their likes and dislikes. They have starting a program that can pave the way ahead. To assist the self-advocate, we first help them to decide what they want, plan what has to be said, speak for themselves, and be free in their choices. We support their decision and we make them take responsibility for that decision. Being given the right to make choices. How do they make their choices? Train them from the time they're very little. Small choices lead to bigger ones. Wait, do not rush them. Choices must always be reasonable and give alternatives that are agreeable to both the parties. How can people support self-advocates? People can support self-advocates by using information that makes sense to the self-advocate. Please don't talk something way ahead of their time. Like, it has to be age appropriate and time appropriate. Make sure that self-advocates get to have a say. Involve them in their decisions and listen to what they have to say. Give the self-advocates time to make a decision. Understand that it's okay for a self-advocate to make a mistake. Support them in their mistakes and tell them how they can make the change. Having said all of this, let us now address the issues as they stand. We come to countries like India and Middle East, and of course in most countries in Asia, where persons with determination are becoming very, very assertive. They want to be heard. We need to change our attitude, not them. We must respect them and try to support their choices. We are giving them a voice, and they are definitely more empowered than they were a decade ago. Last year, we sent a form to get a feedback from our self-advocates on their desires, their needs. This was the feedback. I have Down syndrome, and it is important to me that I'm able to enjoy life to the fullest. I want to volunteer, work, and be seen as a productive member of the society. I want to spend leisure time with my friends, family, and have lots of fun. I want to be welcomed and have a place in the community activities. I want to live as independently as I can and make my own decisions. I want access to a good education and an opportunity for a lifelong learning. I have Down syndrome and I'm proud of who I am. It said it all. Thereafter, we started our training for everyone around us. The counseling and sensitizing of the carers became our major goal. Counseling the parents and the caretakers with proper training of the children to develop into healthy young adults who can merge into a receptive society. Sensitizing prospective employers about the capability of these persons as responsible and dedicated staff members. So also the training of the persons with Down syndrome for the job intended, which has to be individualized to suit the requirement of the industry. It is well known fact that once trained, persons with determination execute the job entrusted with perfection. Policies are being made, my friends, by the United Nations. There are so many policies, and everything is about giving and empowering the person with determination. This just goes on and on. The right to life, equal recognition, living in a community, right to education. All these are mostly on paper, especially in India. We have to make sure that they are implemented. We should make it happen. Together, we can make the change. We will not wait for others to make the change. We need to stand together to make that change. Here in India, we are trying very hard to make the self-advocate heard. We make sure that the self-advocates all meet once a year. They remain in touch. We created groups for the age 25 plus to exchange ideas and their information. A large group of students are now being trained as advocates. They call themselves the buddy groups. More importantly, the self-advocates are asked to discuss issues with the counselors on any form of abuse. This was one of the biggest points that we noticed was not always discussed. So we have a close community that discusses abuse as an issue. And we are trying to solve this by talking to the entire society and forming small groups around to ensure that the person is not in any form of abuse. As I say, teach them to start early to reach their goals. More importantly, some of the things that I have not put on my PowerPoint is to address some of the issues which will definitely support the self-advocate in the larger program. One of them is to keep a health file of the person with determination, which they carry with them right through and which is handed over from person to person so everybody knows all the medical issues that this person has. At birth and thereafter, this is very important for us to advocate for the medical needs of the individual. Why do I say this repeatedly? Is because Bubbly was born with bilateral cataracts. Bubbly is my daughter, and I have made that the heading on all her files. Why? She is absolutely lost in the dark and she cannot make her way around in a new place. She needs a strong advocate to guide her through the steps and all undulating surfaces. At home, as the person with determination grows, we give them preferences of food, clothes, playtime, preferences of books, sleep time, parents telling them sleep stories. And because we have these large extended families, as we do in Asia and in India, we find that this is a very big help to our program because everybody in the family is always involved. Again, make a note of the choice of foods. My friends, this is very, very important. Do not overlook it. Make it so clear that the person knows what they can and what they cannot eat. If they have allergies and they have phobias, make a note of it. Bubbly cannot eat spicy or hard foods. She can choke very easily. She nearly lost her life twice. School. The choice of school or a special center and the early intervention center is normally the choice of the family, who act as the initial and the first advocates. Here, the family guides the person and then sends them to school. They also give enough information to the teacher, the peer, and the staff. The organization must be clear about the person coming in and there, who they have to look after. What we need at every point is clarity. Let me recall a small but very significant incident. Bubbly was in school. It was an inclusive setup. One fine day, she refused to go to school. So I needed to hear the other side of the story. When I reached there, I found her chair was right placed where there was a glare, and she could not even see the teacher or the blackboard clearly. Even with repeated requests, no one paid any attention to her needs. What came up clearly was the insensitivity of the teacher. As a strong advocate, I insisted that the teacher be changed. Lesson 1, the advocate must be firm and very persistent and make sure that the self-advocate is comfortable. Assess, take a decision which makes the individual feel good about themselves. Reading your child's strengths and weaknesses in every area, make a note. Their likes, their dislikes. Respect their choices. Make a note of what they like. In hospital, in most parts of India, we do not take the permission of the self-advocate before we do a checkup. This has become a very big issue because they feel we are riding over them. So we need to talk to them, discuss every issue with the individual, make them aware of the entire process, even if it is a minor examination. This was completely ignored. Today, because we are insisting, it is being practiced and we are getting a lot of support from the medical world. Then we come to a choice of sports, arts, the creative world, music, theater, and dance. Please speak. Again, my friends, we need to be very careful in the choice of the coaches and the teachers because these are the people who are guiding our children. They must also understand where the self-advocate is and how he is. During all of this, my one concern is about teaching them about their physical and emotional safety. The touch and the body development are very, very important. Privacy and respect stands foremost in my mind. Even a little baby needs the respect. Most important is guidance, choice, and support. We then come to relationships, partners, and an emotional connection. Check their emotional status. Like others, they also need the comfort of the other sex. Introduce them to groups where they are respected. Bubbly, my daughter, was not given a choice, but she did fall in love with her cousin. He was already married, and that led to a lot of complications. She felt I had let her down. And 25 years ago, we never talked about a partner in a relationship. So it was different in that world as it is today. But I feel that we let down our children by not listening to their choices. Sometimes it becomes difficult and sometimes it can lead to a lot of emotional stress. My daughter went downhill the minute we refused to allow her to connect with the man she wanted to. Can you imagine what it must have been for her? She went through severe depression, and I see a lot of children going through these bipolar mood swings and depression because we are not understanding them. So we need to safeguard their rights. We need to be there to support them and also make sure that the caregiver is always initiated into the program. We have initiated a sibling and an advocate group too, where they are trained how to speak with respect, listening tolerance, and creating an atmosphere. The success, my friends, of the entire self-advocate program depends on how empowered an advocate is. Study them closely. You need a lot of patience. It's all about patience, a sense of responsibility, and understanding. A self-advocate or an advocate cannot be made overnight. Remember that. This comes with years of training and a sense of belonging. I end with this amazing quote that has made my life. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't step forward, you're always in the same place. Let us join hands to create the best world for persons with determination. Let us help them reach their goals. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sureka. This was so enlightening, and it is absolutely, life altering. I'm sure it has been for me. So thank you again for sharing your wisdom and experience. We do have a question answer sessions in the end of the webinar. However, I will just like to ask one question that has come up. But before that, Dr. Sureka, I would like to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Of course, you're most welcome.
So, what I have seen is when you've discussed about the barriers in starting self-advocacy amongst families and professionals. The barriers, you've spoken about it. There is a certain concern from parents or caregivers which states that the moment we start talking about giving choices, making options, the fear or the concern about appropriate behavior comes up. That what if we give choices, what about when they are not in control of their behaviors? So I would like to ask you, what would be your advice when parents or families ask such questions?
Well, it's very simple. I think this all stems from a total sense of insecurity from the family. It has got nothing to do with the individual. The self-advocate has got a right to say that this is what I want. How you are going to face the situation at the appropriate time and make them simpler choices. You see, we are living in this world where we are always worried about our wards or our children being secure and being safe. Now, giving them choices is something that you cannot stop, whether it is now or much later. The advocate will learn because he is in an environment where he is watching and learning. Now, if my daughter, and some of them come from a body need, like I think many of us have this fear that they are going to get into an emotional tangle and that we will not be able to bring them out of it. Yes, my daughter went through it. She went through the severe low because she was not being given what she wanted. Now, the demands have to be something in proportion to what I can lay on the table or can supply. Now, if the demand is very high, then you have to come to a via media and explain to them why it cannot happen. It took me a year to sit my daughter down and explain to her the pros and cons of every action and reaction of anything that she wanted. So we are always sitting in a discussion. Our family believes that you openly discuss every issue. Yes, we did make a mistake when we did not put her into the right groups because putting them into the right groups, into an appropriate group of social, contact where I can meet with friends of my age group would have been a solution in my case. Yes, I think all of this is only one answer. I think the parents have to have a rethink. They must also sit down and assess with the rest of the family, the caregivers, on how they will be appropriately handling this person. There is nothing difficult about it. And if anybody has an issue, they can easily contact us because we need to tell them. We need to tell them that the person comes first before any choice. So if you are not looking at the individual, which is very, very difficult for the person, he's lost completely because it's all about your choices, your decisions, not mine. So please, let's all sit together and make sure that we are able to give them what they want by giving them choices which are reasonable, and talk to them. They are very clear about what they want. How we deliver is in our hands.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And we have got so many feedback here, which is, mentioning that it has been an empowering presentation and very motivating. So thank you, Dr. Sureka.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we now come to our second eminent speaker, Ms. Salman Khan. She is the CEO of Emirates Down Syndrome Association in UAE, Development Center Manager. She is member of the World Down Syndrome Congress Dubai 2021 Program Secretariat. She is national leader of UAE Self-Advocacy Team for World Down Syndrome Congress 2021. And she holds a master's degree in speech language pathology and has been working with people of determination from last 20 years. So I welcome Ms. Salman Khan to now give her presentation. Ms. Khan.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me begin by saying it's wonderful to be with you today. And thanks for Noor Center for giving me this opportunity to talk about this important topic. I'm honored to be with you. Indeed, I'm honored to work with people of determination. Please, I want to share, my presentation. Could you please allow me to share the presentation?
It can be seen. We can see it.
You can see it? Okay. Let me brief you about our association. Emirates Down Syndrome Association is a non-profit organization accredited by Ministry of Community Development in 2006 and providing its services for people with Down syndrome from birth for all ages and all nationalities in the UAE. And we are working on habilitation, empowerment, and inclusion of people with Down syndrome according to international standards to achieve their full potentials. In addition to that, we are working on family support and social awareness, as well as improving our services and sustainability of resources. Everyone, I believe that we all sharing the same vision and mission and responsibility by, providing a fertile matrix and rich environment and quality standards for people of determination, empowering them, as I mentioned, achieving their full potentials, empower them to be productive and effective in their society, and ensuring fully integration in their society. We start our self-advocacy program. This is the first program for people with Down syndrome across the UAE in collaboration with Down Syndrome International in the United Kingdom. So our self-advocacy in the UAE, we planned the advanced program for people with Down syndrome. We have dedicated committee. Their voices are valuable to us. We also providing them with open opportunities, with continuous support, and we ensure that they have accessible for the resources and information, and they live in a very community with very family ties and bonds, strong bonds. So in the very supportive community from the leadership, and to be themselves and to express themselves and to express their feelings, choices, to choose anything they want. As Dr. Rika said, you cannot complain about not getting your needs met when you never tell people what they are. It means that we should train them we should teach them how to express their needs. So the self-advocacy program aims at raising awareness about Down syndrome in both national and international level, and to provide information and support and resources, and also represent people with Down syndrome. Self-advocacy, this is a very important issue for all of us, because sometimes it's important skills for all individuals. Sometimes we don't know how to express our needs. Sometimes we are ashamed to ask for help or accommodation. Sometimes we have had bad experience in the past and not want to try again, and we don't have the skills to be advocates. So speaking up for yourself or for other people, being proud of who you are, speaking up for your rights, making decisions about your own life, expressing your thoughts and feelings, knowing your rights and responsibilities. This is our aim from self-advocacy program with our self-advocates. Let me share some videos for our beloved self-advocates. Just a minute.
Hello, Miss Salma. The video has an audio in it.
No, it's...
Can't hear the audio. Can I request you to stop the screen share, and again you can do the share the screen again, and when you share the screen there will be a join with computer audio. You have to click that option. Please share the screen. Before you share, there will be a small icon button on the left side. Share with computer audio. Include computer audio.
Is it clear now?
Can you play the video?
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't hear.
She said, I love being an athlete.
Okay, thank you.
This is Omar. He said, I am Omar Shami and I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome means that I have 47 chromosomes. Why you have, this makes me unique in my own way, but it doesn't stop me from
Ms. Salma, can you please explain like what they are speaking, because we can't hear the audio. If you can able to tell us, yeah, it would be good.
Crystal thanks Emirates Down Syndrome Association for choosing as self-advocates. Self-advocacy, future of life. Self-advocacy a lot to plan his life. And the last video, she is, she got national and international medals in competitions, and all of them are, champions in many sport programs. Let me skip this because there is no. I think there's a problem in the sound. Okay, as I told you, we start our self-advocacy program start on September 2019. We train 20 facilitators, and those facilitators forming self-advocacy group. We already have 5 groups with 35 self-advocates. And in order to build their skills and confidence to speak up and speak out. Dr. Rika go thoroughly about self-advocacy and self-advocates and communication forms and ways, and so I will focus on the role of the facilitators. So facilitators are very important in self-advocacy program. Who is the facilitator? The facilitator who helps to bring about an outcome like learning, communication, by providing indirect assistance, guidance, or supervision. The facilitators who transfer power to the self-advocates. The facilitator should understand the system, the laws and regulations and policies in order to promote the change. He should utilize and develop a variety of tools to facilitate and design advocacy sessions to meet the needs of others. He should he has a good understanding of advocacy and the aspiration of people of determination in general and people of with Down syndrome, particularly in our program. He should has many the qualities like good communication skills, active listening, and encouraging teamwork and cooperation, effective techniques of questioning, relationship building, structuring and recording facts and feelings. So he should be a safeguard to ensure that group members are safe during all group activities, a trainer to train the self-advocates and to improve their skills. He should be a support person in order to support group members, mediator to manage conflicts, and confident that to be everybody in the group can talk to him and trust with personal and private matters, and broker connecting the groups with other people. So the role of facilitator is very important during the self-advocacy program. Facilitators may be a teacher, therapist, parent, caregiver. So all those are involved in self-advocacy program, and as Dr. Rika said, the role of the family is very important. And the facilitator should facilitating the voice of advocates rather than being the voice of advocates, and he should create conditions to assure implementations of the advocacy group plans, and non-judgmental, non-discriminatory, ability to manage groups, ability to motivate, has good negotiation skills, commitment to help, managing and organizing information, run effectively and lively meetings, promote positive relationships, learning from the others. Just a minute, what happened? Excuse me, just a minute. There is a problem here. Just a minute. Okay. And ensuring that self-advocacy developing within the group, ensuring that individual group members can participate in the group and that individual needs are understood and met. Okay, we are forming groups. The first step is forming groups across the UAE and practice self-learning them, teaching them about their human rights based on a convention on the rights of people, of persons with disabilities, the guidelines in Article 3, the principles in Article 3 are the most, the list which showed respect and accessibility, non-discrimination, and etc. And you know, we start planning our self-advocacy program. We meet every 2 weeks in order to teach them For example, getting to know each other, group rules, the ways to speak up, working together as a team, respecting other people, understanding the concept of respect, showing respect to others, how to express their feelings and opinions, and also how to make decisions for themselves, and arranging them within groups, and try to choose the names and logos for their groups. Try to discuss things which is important for them, choosing an idea and working on an idea. For example, working to prepare for World Down Syndrome Day, the planning and preparation for the event. They practice their tasks and how to evaluate the event, the role of self-advocate within the Congress. The last session was, it's not the last, we will continue this self-advocacy program, but because of the pandemic, we postponed some training, and how to building toward the Congress. So, and the practical steps, and we support self-advocates to prepare for the Congress and planning the activities. For example, how to welcome, everybody choose where he can fit. And we also provide facilitation support for them. Support self-advocates understand what is the Congress, and their feedback about the self-advocacy program. Self-advocacy, the positive impact for self-advocacy program is increasing the ability to speak up and improve self-confidence, as Dr. Rika said, and also support people to know, to understand and advocate for their human rights. This is very important issue. And also, we also receive, our self-advocates receive from Asia Pacific Down Syndrome Federation on December 2019, Dr. Rika and her team, 2 days training for our self-advocates, and also Sheikh Al-Qasimi got Asia Pacific Down Syndrome Federation Excellence Award for outstanding self-advocacy for Down syndrome. Our facilitators. Our self-advocates. And this is just to invite you to attend the 14th World Down Syndrome Congress in Dubai 2021 from 16 to 18 November 2021. It was in November 2020, but because of Corona, we postponed it till 2021. It will be under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Hamad bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai and Chairman of the Dubai Executive Council. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very, very informative and, brief presentation on the role of facilitators and facilitation. So I'm sure many people in the audience will have some idea as to how to, initiate such a program in their respective centers wherever they are from. So thank you, Ms. Salma Khan. Thank you for your presentation. We'll be having the question and answer in the end. So we will now move on to the last part of our webinar, which is a conversation with the self-advocates. And we have Ms. Shamim Banu, who is the moderator of this event and also moderator of the section with the self-advocates. And Ms. Shamim Banu works in the capacity of Research and Training Associate at Al-Noor. She holds a master's degree in rehabilitation science. She is involved in a wide range of research and training activities at the center. Shamim is a person of determination herself, who has the condition of limb girdle muscular dystrophy and a self-advocate as well. And that's why she believes in the motto of "Don't diss my ability." She aims to dispel the stereotypes about disability and strives to live a happy, independent, and meaningful life. So I now request and welcome Shamim to conduct the section with the self-advocates. Over to you, Shamim.
Thank you, Tanuka. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I know it is one of the most anticipated session for today. And we have wonderful panels of self-advocacy from Al-Noor Work Placement Program. The Al-Noor Work Placement Programs aims to integrate our young adults in the community by providing them employment. So we have 4 self-advocates from Al-Noor. So I would request participant to pin Mr. Joel Shaji. The participants list can be seen on your right side. So you can pin Mr. Joel Shaji, Mr. Janani Vishwanathan, Yasmin Firas, and Aisha Riyaz. Kindly pin these 4 self-advocates so that we can listen to them.
I think you have to close the screen share.
Ms. Salma, I think you have to close the screen share, the presentation.
We cannot pin self-advocates. Can you help us out? And we don't see the participants. We cannot see the participants.
I try to close that. I will enter again. Just I will go out and enter again. Thank you.
Shamim, you are on mute, Shamim.
I'm so sorry. We have mindfully organized this panel discussion so that it will be meaningful to our audience to hear the diversified voices of our self-advocates. They are diversified in their nature of the disability, their needs and their thoughts and their journey. I would request Joel Shaji. He is a young adult diagnosed with social, pragmatic, and intellectual disability. He is an enthusiastic, sincere, and friendly young man. He is eager to learn new skills, and he always participates in a wide range of activities at the center. We welcome you, Joel, to the panel. Can I have Yasmin on the forum now? Yasmin, could you please on your video?
Yasmin's video is on, actually. It's on.
Yeah. So Yasmin Firas, we know her by her charmness. She's an 18-year-old young lady with intellectual disability. She is smart and fashionable. She likes to travel and she likes to listen to music and watch movies. We welcome you, Yasmin, to the forum. Next, we have Aisha Riyaz. She is a bold and beautiful. She is a passionate person who is considerate, diligent, and optimistic. And she tends to show innovation in all the works. She loves to read and explore to the new places. We're honored to have you, Aisha, on the forum today.
Thank you so much.
Then we have Vignesh. He is very popular for his enthusiastic and friendly nature. He is a 26-year young man with Down syndrome. He is highly tech savvy. He won silver medal in word processing in the skill challenge competition that was organized by Future Center in Abu Dhabi. We are privileged to have you, Vignesh. So this is the time to hear their voice. It's not only to hear the voice, it's amplify them to the wider community. So we are going to have a lively conversation with our self-advocates so that we know them better, we understand them better. So let us ask Joel. Joel, what do you mean by self-advocacy? Joel, can you hear me?
I think you need to unmute your mic, Joel, probably.
Okay. Let me move on to Yasmin so that Joel will join us maybe a few minutes later. Joel, you are there. Joel, can you speak? Your mic is muted, Joel.
Yeah. Unmute the mic, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let me just move on to Aisha, Yasmin. Yasmin, could you let us know what does self-advocacy mean to you?
I like happy.
Yes. Being happy is a self-advocacy to you. Yes, true. It's one of the aspects, every advocates, whether they are people of determination or not, they have a right to live happy. It's very, very incredible thing to know, Yasmin. Thank you. Vignesh, what is self-advocacy? What is perspective of self-advocacy from your view? How do you say about it?
Vignesh, unmute your mic, please.
Unmute your mic.
Joel is having a problem with his system, so he'll talk from my system, okay?
Sure, no issues. We will wait for Joel. No issues. Vignesh? Vignesh, can you unmute your mic and speak? So without much delaying, let me move on to Aisha because our technical team will be helping them to join. So Aisha, what do you mean by self-advocacy? How do you see it? Hi.
Self-advocacy for me is to speak up for myself about my feelings, needs, and rights that are important in my daily life and my daily life and my routine.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you for that wonderful message. And Yasmin, you have told that being happy is a self-advocacy for you. Do you make choices in your life?
Yes.
Yes, that's nice to hear, Yasmin. What are the choices you like to make? What choices on your everyday life you like to make? Do you make choices of food?
Yes.
Good. Then what else? You like to do some. We know you for a popularity at Al Noor for something. You like to do makeups, right?
Yes. I like makeup.
Yes. What else do you like? Do you like swimming?
No.
No. Good. Do you like makeup?
Yes, I like makeup.
Yes.
And
Yasmin, if you don't mind, can you put your mask down so that we can hear you better? Yeah.
I like dance and fashion.
Yeah. We know you for your happy feet. Thank you. Thank you, Yasmin. Joel,
Yes,
how are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Yeah, Joel, we are discussing about what is self-advocacy. What does self-advocacy mean to you, Joel? How do you see it?
Self-advocacy means that
Your voice is breaking, Joel. Can you say it again?
hello.
Yes. Yes, Joel, we can hear you.
Yes, hello everyone. Enjoy. So self-advocacy is what for me is I should speak for myself and for others.
True.
Yeah.
Excellent, Joel. Incredibly, you articulated it. And Vignesh, can I hear from you? Like, what are the choices that you make on your everyday life? Vignesh, can you unmute your mic? Okay, without much delaying, Vignesh has some issues in joining. Joel, can you
Yes.
tell about what are the choices you make everyday life?
Well, everyday life I make different choices, such as I help my like I want if I want to go out to to a new place, it's my choice.
Yes.
Like if I want to go to a new restaurant, I can. It's up to my choice. Like what food I want to eat there. what clothes I want to wear. So many things I can make. So many things that I can make different choices in my life.
Do you make choices of your clothing?
Yes, I also make choices of my clothing also.
So what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
That's what you're wearing it today.
Yes.
It suits you.
Yes.
Aisha?
Yes.
Yeah, Aisha, we know, like, we heard from our guest speakers, and we are also practicing the self-advocacy at the center. You've been a part of it. And we are, self-advocacy can happen in different level. It could be an individual level, it can be a organizational level, or it could be in an international level. And
Yes.
we know that you have done a self-advocacy movement at the center, and
Yes.
which causes, it's not only benefit to you, it benefit many people at the center. Do you like to share about that, Aisha?
Yes. I took the initiative for my school to have a STEM lab known as STEMAs. I got this idea once when I went to a special needs center where they had a STEM lab, and I asked one of the teacher who accompanied me about why don't we have a STEM lab. So she told me that I could go to the HOD and ask her about this. When I told her about my idea, she loved it. She took it to the head and told the and they told she took it to the head she took it to the head and told them about it. And they loved it, and they told me to start with it. For now it's on hold, but most of the parts I have worked on. Yes.
So it is a movement that have been initiated by you,
Yes.
and you came up and you speak up. When you
Yes.
try to knock the door of the people, you will be answered. So
Yes.
that's what you
This
told
is for
us,
the
right?
entire school, for all the students of the Alnu Training Center.
Great. We really wish you that this initiative will take forward and it will
Yes.
benefit more
Sure.
people.
Yes.
Yeah. And Yasmin, in work placement unit, you have been trained in different job skills and work skills. We know it. And we wanted to know, what are your job aspirations? Where you want to work?
I like hotels.
You like to work in the hotel. So you already made that choice by your own?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any preferences? Where do you want to work at the hotel? There are a lot of departments in the hotel. Do you want to work in the maintenance? Do you work in the reception? Do you work at the management level? Where do you want to work? Do you wanted to work in the front desk?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we wish you all the best, Yasmin.
Yes.
Vignesh, would you able to hear us?
Yes.
Yes, Vignesh. Yeah, great. So we are discussing about, we are discussing about the self-advocacy, and you saw your friends were discussing and talking about how they feel what is self-advocacy. Can you tell from your perspective, Vignesh, what does self-advocacy mean to you?
Self-advocacy is important speaking about ourselves and other people.
Okay. And as we know, Vignesh Vishwanathan is working in Dubai hotel. So Vignesh, can you share about your employment or the task that you are doing in your company?
I work in Sofitel Palm Jumeirah as employee, as a son to my parents, brothers, sisters. Uh, I asked my duty manager to give us recycling papers and birth schedule timing. I print my birth schedule timing and in food beverage, inclusive food beverage.
Okay. In your employment, Vignesh, do you get a support? People provide you a support system in your work employment?
My buddy, his name is Iris.
Okay, so you have a buddy system who helps you in your work.
Yes.
Great. So Vignesh believes that it's not only rights, it's also a responsibility that is accountable for. When you being an advocate, it's not only a right, you are accountable for even your responsibilities. So Vignesh is doing a wonderful job in Dubai Hotel. He's working in the front desk. Thank you, Vignesh, for joining today. And Joel, can you I know you have a lot of aspiration. What is your wish list? What is a job wish list for you?
Well, my job is like, I like to work in office. Like I can learn so many new things in office. Then they also help me, and I like to help them too. So I can help, so I can become independent also. And when they also help, I get a support from them.
So it will be like, it's not only you're helping them and they are helping you as well. So we look forward that kind of a community support from the community to help and to understand our students' voices.
Yes.
And yeah, Aisha,
yes,
want to tell something about what could be the change you are expecting in the community, or do you wanted to give some takeaway message to the participants who is on the forum?
yes, the community support is most important. I feel the places should be more accessible, like the parks and leisure places. For example, people with determination, they should also have a convenient activities so they don't feel left out or bored. The park should have accessible washrooms, and some restaurants need to have ramp in order for people with determination to go and enjoy in the restaurant. Footpaths need to have more slopes. Our rights are to be heard when we talk, to live in the accessible community, to ask for help when needed. We have the right to say no. We have the right to have privacy. We have the right to have friends of all kinds, not just people with determination.
True. You made a very valuable point, Aisha. Like, it's not, we have a right to say no. It's not only you accept whatever your caretakers or parents say. You have your own choice, you have your own preferences. When you don't like it, we have to say no. That's a very valid point that you have made it, Aisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And now this forum is open for the question and answers. If you have any specific questions to our self-advocates or to our speakers, you can put on the chat box, or you can raise your hands so that we can moderate that question to a respective speaker and our self-advocates.
Shamim, I think some of the participants are interested to know about the training program on self-advocacy, and there was a question on finding a training in India, in Mumbai. So probably Dr. Ramachandran can help us, or her contact can be given to the participants so that people can work in India.
Dr. Reka, your mic is muted.
Yeah, okay. So you can ask them to get in touch with us, and we will give them the respective contact numbers of the support groups in that particular state, so that it will be easier for them to remain in touch, because just now, because of the corona, we are not allowing them to come out, and no one is allowed to meet anybody face to face. So it will have to be like an online program. And we have been conducting these quite frequently in Punjab and other states. So if they can get in touch with us, we will put them on to the next program on self-advocacy.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Ramachandran, there's one question, of course, which you spoke at length in your presentation, but probably I can frame it in a different way that what role the family members play in becoming a self-advocate, or rather, how important do you think the family is compared to other agencies in an individual becoming a self-advocate?
Well, I think the first and foremost advocate for an individual is the family. See, I don't think anybody understands the person with determination the way a parent would, and they study their children closely. Of course, they can take the support of the extended family plus from the peers, and more so, which I took, was the support of the sibling, because I thought my son was so close to my daughter that he was actually would give me a better interpretation of the situation and her friends, because I created a large group of extended friends who were in, like, she was in a swim team, she was in an athletic team, she was in a dance team, she was in theater. So when you put them in all these groups, they tend to pick up a few people who will be close to them, who will give you a feedback and be able to suggest how best to take the movement forward. Because actually, starting from home, I think it's more like a control thing. So the parents are always deciding. In India, we find the parents are actually monitoring everything for the child. And there is no way the child is allowed to even talk about a choice. And it still continues. So because they are unable to understand that this individual has already started thinking. So for them to accept that I can think, I can reason, and I can decide for myself is going to take me much longer. That's why we have very frequent conferences. And actually every week we meet up with the parents to tell them, to give them choices. Because making a decision starts right from maybe a very simple thing like food. Like, would you like to have this for breakfast? I don't know how many families actually offer the choice because it's already made and done, and you think you've done the job and the child has to eat it. So very simple choices is what we are looking at. Going into the school atmosphere is a very, very big decision. And you have to be careful on where you're putting your child. Like I said, they overrule the child. And my daughter, because she had a severe visual handicap, they should have taken that into consideration. I was trying to put her into a regular school because it was important that you don't, even 40 years ago, we didn't want to segregate them. But the idea in India is, because you give me an option of going to a special school, I will definitely choose a special school as against an inclusive atmosphere, because there are more challenges here. But today, the right of education is so big. It's so big and so well used. We can go into any school and demand the right. And if they do not give us the right, we can always go to the government and complain. So we have things in place. We have worked for 40 years and put things in place. It is for a parent to understand the situation as it is, take a call, and be clear in your head. Why would you not give the 2 children or 3 children or any number of children the same choices? So don't think the person with determination is different from the other person. They want the same choices, the same lives. They want to be given the same treatment. It all starts with you. It doesn't start with the person with determination. It starts with us.
Thank you, Doctor. There's another question about, is there any opportunity for you training in UAE or in Dubai? How can residents of Dubai get trained?
You only have to call me. Dubai is a very safe place. We can fly down tomorrow morning. Don't worry about us, because we are real hard people. Okay, we can work day and night, but we just need to be invited. We will be there. Salma called me and I was there the next minute. So we are ready to train the people, but the thing is about the country being ready to receive us, because we don't want to invade into another country. India is large enough for me. I have so many people. I have in a year I have 40,000 people being born, and I have just touched just the tip of the iceberg. So there's a lot to do. But yes, we can bring our teams, and we are always ready to work for anybody.
And there is one more question for Dr. Salma. Is there is any self-advocacy group for the parents in Dubai?
I think Ms. Salma has had to leave the webinar for some, so I will pass the question on and we can email it back to the participant.
Sure. Sure.
I think, yeah, there are no more questions as of now.
Yeah.
So
we could see a little feedback about the workshop. Thank you so much for all the participants for waiting, and we already exceeded time, but still you are all there to support us. Thank you so much for that. And we will be sharing a feedback link in the chat box now, and we will also send email to all the participants who registered. You can fill the feedback. That will be very important to us to shape our program in a better way in future. And I'll just pasting the link on the chat box now.
And Shamim, are we sharing the presentation or the recording?
We are sharing the recorded presentation. We would like to ask Dr. Sureka Ramachandran and Dr. Ms. Salma to know that whether we are able to share the presentation with the participants.
You're most welcome. From me,
thank you.
Always.
Thank you, Dr. Sureka. Yeah. So we will be sharing the recorded presentation, recorded version of the training and the presentation to all the participants.
Yes. And we would now like to conclude it by, thanking all the participants and our self-advocates and us eminent speakers. We are really, really grateful for your presence. And it's just that people with disabilities are most often seen as the most powerless members of society. But, hopefully with our journey in self-advocacy, getting ourselves trained and including self-advocates more and more in our community, we are actually talking the language of power and not disempowerment. So, keeping these points in mind about speaking up and knowing our rights as, human beings with disabilities, we hope to take the self-advocacy forward with more and more, eminent speakers like Dr. Ramachandran, Salman Khan, and our self-advocates. So thank you so much for being here, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Vignesh.
So much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Very nice. Namaskar and namaskar to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please share the feedback link, madam, to email ID.
Yeah, we will. I'll just paste the feedback link in the chat box again. We will send an email also to all the participants.
Thank you so much, Shamim.
You're most welcome.
Ma'am Shamim, good afternoon.
Yes.
Dr. Emmanuel, and for personal determination. I have cerebral palsy too. It was a one question, and I would like. Sorry?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would like to know whether and are you open now?
Okay, we'll wait for you, Dr. Emmanuel. Yeah, Mr. Emmanuel, we will share all the events because you're already in our database. We will share all the events and outreach programs that whatever we are doing it from Al-Noor, we will likely to share with you.
Yeah. Okay, did you
Thank
tell
you.
your teacher you come? You have to tell your teacher. Your teacher knows you came?
What?
Where is she? Mask? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll end the meeting now. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.